Cut. Wallace, I want my transition back. It was a good transition. All right. Ask me what my movie is again.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to Cinema Double Shot. I'm Wallace McKelvey, a journalist and filmmaker. And today, as you can tell, I'm joined for an extra casual episode of the podcast with my partner in crime and gay crime, Josh Dorsheimer.
I live here, so I'm the easiest guest to get on this podcast at a short notice. Well, but also, I think there's a reason that I'm here.
There is a reason you're here.
Because this episode is allegedly going to be very gay.
Extra gay. More gay than usual. So I could not find the rainbow fan that we had last year. Otherwise, just imagine me just doing and having a rainbow colored fan in front of me. So today, because we are in the middle of, guess what? Pride Month.
Pride Month! Yay!
We're going to talk about part 2, because we did an episode last year about the, I think I called it Don't Bury Your Gays. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do the same thing this year. We're going to go through some of our favorite LGBTQ plus themed movies.
Different ones
from last year.
Yeah.
And in case you did not see our episode last year, everything in it is still relevant. All those movies are freaking fantastic. Check it out. I'll include a link to it in the show notes at the bottom of this video on YouTube or on Spotify. Yes, look where Josh is pointing.
I'm looking down.
But to summarize, so last year our selections were, gosh, we were very Robin Williams centric. We talked about
he is the best not gay man.
That's true.
Yeah.
An honorary queer. Mm-hmm. We talked about Mrs. Doubtfire and the Birdcage.
All right.
We talked about the 1932 movie Babyface,
which I just watched with you recently.
Yeah.
It is kind of gay, except for the parts that are straight.
It's got some gayness to it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of pre-code movies did back in the day. Mm-hmm. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Josh's favorite horror movie?
My favorite slasher movie, definitely. Okay. I mean, the poster for the movie is hanging over my bed in the office.
Yeah.
So,
that one's a very gay slasher movie.
Yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon, But I'm a Cheerleader.
Love that movie.
Barry Jenkins' Moonlight, which, FYI, there's going to be a screening if you're in the Harrisburg area at Midtown Cinema.
Woohoo!
To benefit the LGBT Center of Central Pennsylvania. So come on out. I'll be shilling for that a little bit later in the episode, but July 26th is when that is. We talked a little bit about Hairspray and the movies of John Waters, which you could fill like gobs and gobs of lists with John Waters movies.
I could just do an episode about John Waters. I could talk about him forever.
Eventually, we're just going to have to do a whole episode about John Waters.
Well, we got to get Susan on here because she loves him too. True. Anyway.
Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean Baker's Tangerine. And our bonus picks, which were movies that last year we did movies that did in fact kill their gays, but we liked them anyway. And ours, spoiler alert, were All of Us Strangers and A Single Man.
All right. I remember that. I still really like All of Us Strangers.
Yeah, it's a ghostly movie with, one gay and one not gay lead. But that's okay. We'll talk more about that with one of our movies this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen Single Man, what did you just say?
You still have not seen A Single Man. No. Which also stars a not gay Colin Firth.
Oh, but he's played gay so many times. He's another one like Robin Williams. He's pretty much just he's one of us.
Honorary gays.
Honorary gays. He's in so many. Oh.
Well, you have. Why don't we get started on our list for this year? I'm wondering, like, were there any overarching themes when you decided on your picks?
One of the things I decided to do was to make sure that any directors that I like that were not included in the previous year, I made sure to showcase them if they have a queer movie, because I have some directors that I like that don't have queer movies, and that's okay because they're straight. And I forgive them for that.
There were some gay directors back in the day who never made any gay movies because guess what? It was taboo. And you could not make gay movies in the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I was trying to do was kind of branch out a little bit and talk about some weirder ones. And I think there's one on my list that you haven't seen, which is something which is like a unicorn. So I'm really excited to talk about one that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
You're always having ones on your list that I haven't seen. So what did you do that was different this time?
I did not have any major criteria. The one that I tried to stick to was I wanted to pick 5 movies that were happy-ish. They had happy-ish endings because, as we talked about last year, so many LGBTQ themed movies have, number one, there's the trope, you bury your gays. For so long in Hollywood, for a long period of time, you could not feature any queer characters whatsoever. You had to kind of sneak them in the side door with some innuendo or wordplay or gentle hints and signifiers. But then even after the Hays Code disappeared, we fell into these stereotypes where you just accepted the representation that you had, which very often required the queer character to die. A lot of classic Hollywood movies that, insofar as they have a queer or queer-coded character, a lot of them ended really poorly for that character. And even into today, if you look at a lot of the movies that win Oscars that are gay-themed, at a bare minimum, they're pretty traumatic, and some of them still fall into that trope where, the queer character dies in the end or suffers tremendously throughout the whole film. So my one criteria for me was I absolutely didn't want to kill anybody, but I also wanted to have at least a happy-ish ending. The protagonist could go through some difficult things because guess what? We all go through difficult things, and folks who are LGBTQ plus tend to go through a lot of difficult things because, our society is not the friendliest to us, and that is an understatement. But we're not going to dwell on that too much because, fuck it, this is about gay joy.
Well, yours are. I did a whoopsie poopsie. I didn't get the memo.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There's a good handful of my list that's kind of bleak. But they're still good movies, I promise.
Yeah. Well, starting with one of your bleak ones, because I know you actually have a personal connection.
Yes, I had to pick this one this time. But also I really like this movie, and that is, I am currently, for one more weekend, which by the time this podcast comes out, I think I might be done my run.
Well, I'm going to try to sneak the podcast out before the last show.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this weekend, this is the end of my run, I am currently in Boys in the Band at Open Stage, and we have a show on Friday and Saturday of this week.
That would be the 12th and the 13th.
The 12th and the 13th, yep. Thank you. So not just because I'm doing the play, I already talked about it on the previous podcast, but check it out if you can and use the code.
Use the code LGBT Center when you go to openstagehbg.com, and $10 of your ticket will go to support the LGBT Center of Central Pennsylvania, which is a great place that is doing really essential work for folks in our community.
Woohoo!
But talk to me about...
Couldn't have said it better yourself.
So there are two different movie versions of Boys in the Band.
No, there aren't.
Tell me, which one did you choose?
The only one, Wallace. No, I picked the 1970 Boys in the Band film adaptation by William Friedkin. And for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's the better adaptation of the play. Two, it only takes place. It was made in 1970. The play takes place in 1968, right before Stonewall. So it is not quite the exact snapshot of pre-Stonewall in the 60s, but it's pretty dang close because it was made. It had to have been made in 1969 to have been released in 1970, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So 1970 was when it was released. Something interesting about it, they brought the entire Broadway cast back to play the characters that they did.
And that never happens.
No, but one of the things is that William Friedkin worked very, very, very closely with the playwright Mark Crowley, who wrote Boys in the Band. He I believe worked on the screenplay. The script is pretty much word for word the film. There are a couple little things that are different about it.
Yeah.
But I just think it's such a great adaptation of the play because it's not like great performances where you're sitting there and watching like people on a stage. However, I think Friedkin really understands that it started its life as a play, and because of the way it's structured, you stay with these characters and you don't hop around. It is Stuart mentioned this last night Stuart Landon, who directed Boys in the Band for Open Stage, mentioned in a talkback last night that he hates the phrase slice of life. But he said, for lack of a better word, this is a slice of life play, and it is a slice of life film. And
lightning bolt moment. We need to do a short film with the title A Slice of Life, but it's a slasher movie.
All right. Challenge accepted. But really, there's incredible performances in this movie. And Friedkin himself has said that it's one of his earlier movies. It's before he did The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And he has gone on to say that it's one of his. Well, he's no longer with us, but it was one of his few films that he could rewatch and that he actually enjoyed watching. Now, onto the plot, real quick, for folks who are not familiar with Boys in the Band. Boys in the Band basically takes place at a birthday party. I guess the main character, Michael, is putting together a birthday party for his friend. They have a murky history. Harold.
Yeah. It's alluded to that they might be intimate.
That they may have been intimate at one point.
May have had an intimate relationship at some point.
Yes, but his friend Harold, who I play in the play, a self-proclaimed ugly, pock-marked Jew fairy, and it's a gathering of gays for this birthday party, and a wrench is thrown into the works when Michael's straight best friend from college crashes the party. And this is at a time where being gay could still get you arrested. Yeah. This is at a time where it wasn't just taboo, it was really taboo. So it really, while they're all dealing with their own internalized homophobia and struggles prior to Alan, the straight man, showing up, his showing up to this party sets off this chain reaction of just trauma dumping and bleak sadness and dealing with everybody's internalized hatred for themselves. In fact, this movie got a lot of pushback from some gay rights groups saying that it kind of, what do you call that? When you, with a stereotype, you
It had stereotypes?
No, yes, but I'm trying to think of a word. There's a word, but it basically, showcase the stereotype that gays are unhappy and that they all are like sad and suicidal and however,
although a nice thing about it is no one dies.
no one does die.
Spoiler alert.
No one dies.
It
in
is
Boys
not
in
a
the Band.
bury your gays
It's not
film.
a bury your gays.
Thankfully.
It is
It is gather all your gays together into a room and complain about all the vagaries of life and how the world kind of sucks.
But the thing about it is, despite the fact that a lot of them are dealing with a lot of shit, and Michael's not a very nice character, neither is Harold, but they're all kind of mean in their own way. Each character in this story is dealing with something very relatable.
Yeah.
And even now, like even me working on the play, I find lines of dialogue that I have to take a moment and sit down and be like, whew, because it's a very well written piece. It was written by a gay man, mostly acted by gay men in the film, with the exception of 2 actors, and I think William Friedkin really did a good job of not. So the reason, one more thing. The reason I don't like the remake that was produced by Ryan Murphy, there is another version of it that came out in 2020, and it was fine. They're fine. They act the hell out of it.
It's well made, and it has all the Twinkie stars of TV circa 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that it doesn't do that William Friedkin's version does so well is it stays with the characters. It's not like they go outside the house. They like show what happens after the play. They go into flashbacks. And I think part of the beauty of this and how it works so well in the film version is that he kind of keeps it like a... What?
Sir, that is not where your coffee cup belongs.
Where else am I going to put it?
The dangers of doing your podcast on your couch.
Mm-hmm.
I just imagine the coffee spilling everywhere. But nonetheless, complete that thought.
I don't remember what it was now. Anyway, Boys in the Band, go see
Boys
it
in the
at
Band,
Open
like
Stage.
I have a few thoughts about Boys in the Band as well.
I bet you do.
I do think in many ways, like while it is a melodrama, so you are getting people on a particularly dramatic night in their lives, and it does feature a lot of tropes that, some of them are not the nicest tropes about gay men. That
even if they're true.
The alcoholism, one character is suicidal. There's kind of casual racism interspersed.
Not casual. It is just.
Well, I say casual because it's said without a second thought.
Ah, gotcha. I was going to say
it is blatant.
Yeah, it is.
But it is casually just dropped out there.
Yeah, it is.
And folks who have unrequited love affairs and like it checks off so many boxes. However, some of those things, are, if you were a gay man, you've definitely encountered them. There's a reason they become stereotypes. And I think Boys in the Band, despite some of its stuff not having aged well, I nonetheless, I have been around people like Michael. I have been around some of those characters in real life. I've definitely had some friends in my circles who have behaved that way, who maybe had a problem with alcohol where once you have a couple drinks, they become outsized, stereotyped versions of themselves with the sad, they've drawn the sad conclusion that cutting everyone around them down will somehow elevate themselves. So I think there's a lot in that play that, despite some of it feeling a little squicky, is true to life. I also think for a play that was written in the late 60s, produced I think in 68, and the film came out in 1970, there is a understanding of intersectionality before we even had a word for it. There's a whole discussion about how one of the characters who is Latino, and unfortunately, 1970 film does not cast a Latino actor in the Latino role. That's one of the many things that hasn't quite aged well. But there's a Latino character and there's a black character, and they have a conversation with each other, and they talk about how they're coming from different vantage points, how both of them in their own different ways have levels of privilege. And I think the play and the script is very sensitive and kind of woke to those aspects of it in a way that I can't think of any other movie circa 1970 that dealt as honestly as Boys in the Band does with some of those issues.
No, it's an important film and an important play, and it's cited many times by lots of folks who are film savvy as something that was kind of revolutionary when it came out. In seriousness,
also, Josh, you are really fantastic in the play.
Oh, well, thank you.
You knew that already.
I wasn't going to say anything. No, I appreciate it, but honestly, I think it's just because we're all very real with each other. There's everybody, with not to out anybody, but everybody sans one character, the straight character. Oddly enough, we're all just some flavor of queer, so we all have bonded and talked through all this and trauma dumped and kumbaya and did all that. But I think it kind of also opens us up to a more emotionally open performance, because it's in a way cathartic for all of us, because all of us are dealing with some of the same shit in the play in one way or another. We had a weird conversation, not to stay on this, but just one last thing. Yesterday, we were preparing for the talkback, and our pre-talkback to kind of get us in the mood. One of my castmates asked, "What character in Boys in the Band do you actually relate to? It doesn't have to be your character." And we kind of went around in a circle. And I actually ended up saying Harold. I said I'm Harold, but not as cool as Harold.
Yeah.
Because I just have the neurotic part. I don't have the Ice Queen part. But well, thank you, and thanks for coming to see it, and thank you all of our wonderful listeners who I know I will see on Friday and or Saturday.
Or else. And remember, go to openstagehbg.com, and if you use the code LGBT Center, you will get $10. You won't get $10 off, but $10 of your ticket will go to support the LGBT Center.
Woohoo!
So my pick is actually a film that I just recently saw, and like Josh, I have a connection with this film because
you were in it.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Close.
Please tell us.
So, and I had the privilege of helping to introduce a new documentary called Barbara Forever at Midtown Cinema just this last weekend as part of the Movie 8 Underground Film Festival. Go to movie8.org. Shout out to Movie 8 folks. So I helped introduce this documentary about a pioneering documentarian named Barbara Hammer. Barbara Hammer had a really fascinating backstory. She, like a lot of queer folks in the 50s and 60s, she was married to a man, and she knew that it wasn't really what she wanted, like a lot of folks back then. So she ended up getting divorced, and she decided, F it, I just want to live the way I want to live. And part of that transformation, in addition to getting divorced from her husband, was starting to make movies.
Oh.
So she went off, and without a lot of training or instruction, the barest of equipment, she started making these experimental short films many of them, at least in the beginning, starred herself and her girlfriends, like the people that she was dating. And if you watch many of her short films, it's kind of like an evolution of this director over time. I think she was ahead of her time. In 2026, and this is not a backhanded compliment, but in 2026, Barbara Hammer probably would be a YouTuber or maybe a TikToker. Like, the kind of stuff that she was doing shares a bit of DNA with that. There's more art to it than the average bear.
And porn?
And there's really cool editing, there's cool visuals. She does a lot of interesting stuff, but almost all of her early stuff features herself. So Barbara Forever is great. It's not currently like readily accessible to folks. It's on the film festival circuit. When you are able to see it, I'd suggest watching it, because even though it's a documentary about someone, I felt an intimate connection with this filmmaker that the movie was about. I found myself just infectiously laughing along with the subject of this documentary. The film that is on my list for today is actually Nitrate Kisses. It is a 1992 documentary by Barbara Hammer. And if you're familiar with The Celluloid Closet,
Yeah.
which is a film about queer representation in film over time.
It features Boys in the Band very heavily in it.
It does. So Celluloid Closet is kind of a more traditional documentary. It is more about sharing information to an audience. Nitrate Kisses is similar in terms of the subject, because it's also about representation of queer people over time. But because it was directed by Barbara Hammer, an experimental filmmaker, it takes a much different approach. The editing style is very quick, staccato. It has voiceover, but it doesn't feature long stretches of the interview. And Barbara Hammer is finding interesting ways throughout the film to illustrate her points. One of them that I'll share here, because it really stuck with me, I mentioned earlier in the podcast about the Hays Code, and some of the issues of the Hays Code, which was basically self-censorship by the major studios starting in the 1930s. The Hays Code prohibited any kind of interracial relationship on screen. It also basically banned any kind of queer content for decades. The result of that was you didn't see interracial relationships on screen. You didn't see any queer characters who were not in some way coded and who didn't get their comeuppance at the end. Well, Barbara Hammer, in the discussion about the Hays Code, she has the text of the Hays Code running in a scroll down the screen. The backdrop is an interracial gay couple having sex.
Good.
And it is very graphic.
Good.
You don't see everything, but you see a lot.
What about hearing? Do you hear everything?
I don't even remember. I think
Was that bad, eh?
I think you do, but I don't want to misspeak, because I don't even remember. I was so gobsmacked.
Traumatized. Oh, sorry.
No, I was not traumatized. But I just love
Gay people?
I love her approach to that. Just be forewarned. It is definitely an hard R rated documentary. But it is absolutely worth seeing, and it is. I love the inventiveness that she brought to this subject matter, and it has some really kind of interesting stuff in it. I think it's definitely worth seeing and deserves a larger audience, because until the last couple years, I didn't even know who Barbara Hammer was, let alone having the opportunity to see some of her movies. So
Where can this film be found?
It's hard to find. I think it's on like one streaming service right now. It's on like a documentary streaming service.
All right.
So, but seek it out. It is worth seeing.
So my movie is from 2022, and it is a body horror movie called... God damn it! Hang on! Cut! Wallace, I want my transition back. It was a good transition. All right. Ask me what my movie is again.
Okay.
This could be the opening of the podcast. Cut. Ask me what my movie is.
Okay. So, Josh, what's your next movie?
Well, speaking of porn...
Were we speaking of porn?
Well, yes, that thing you were just talking about.
Did you put a porn movie?
I mean, you did. You said that there were people having sex behind the Hays Code.
Very tastefully.
Oh, very tasteful. Well, speaking of porn, my second movie is called Swallowed, and it is from 2022. And I will not read the whole synopsis, but I do have it.
Un poco.
But it's from writer-director Carter Smith. And the basic plot... This is one you haven't seen, correct?
I have not seen this one. No.
Well, so this is a story of two gay friends on their final night together, because one of them is moving away to LA to pursue a career in adult film acting.
Oh.
They are basically... I don't know how to describe it, but...
So this is definitely a period piece then, because today they would be sitting at home on OnlyFans.
I guess so. So Benjamin is the name of the one guy, the one who's going to make porn, and then Dom, who is his friend, who's Dom, yes, who is getting into all sorts of trouble all the time, and one of the things that he does is he goes on drug runs. Yay, gays and drug runs.
What is a drug run?
A drug run? When you give somebody drugs for money?
Oh, so he's a drug dealer.
Yeah, but he's the runner for the dealer.
Oh, I got you.
And then he gets a cut. Okay.
Oh, so he goes to the gay bar men's room.
Well, not quite, but in this he's going over the Canadian border. But however, this character, this really awful character who is, oh my goodness, what's her name? So this filmmaker made the movie The Ruins. Did you see that? Yeah. And Jenna Malone plays this character.
I like Jenna Malone.
Yeah, she was in The Ruins. He worked with her again, and she plays this character who's like a drug... I don't know. Some kind of... She has bad connections. Anyway, she's not a good person. She force feeds these drugs to Dom, who he has to eat them to carry them to the person that is like handling them. And we find out that they are venomous bugs that when you swallow them, you know, it's keeping them in there, and you have to be very, very careful, because if they break or if they incubate, they have venomous bites. They get you high, but they're potentially lethal. This is very complicated. But it's this great little, like, dark little movie. The coolest thing about it is that these guys on the drug run, the person that they are taking the drugs to is played by Mark Patton, who is from my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street. He hadn't done a movie in like years because he went into hiding. Because
Nightmare on Elm Street Part
2. Yes. He'd gone into hiding because of homophobia that he faced in Hollywood. And this is like his first, you know, big role back in a movie. And he's really, really kind of something. He's scary. He's kind of the villain. He plays this old queen who's kind of like the embodiment of every toxic trope that a a wounded gay man could be. But he's great. He has this great monologue. He's haunting. He's creepy. And these two lead guys are really good too. But it's just gross. The idea that there's a bug inside you, and it could kill you, and it's not too subtle, but it is
AIDS metaphor,
and just drugs in general too, and but it's creepy. At first it feels like a thriller because it's like drug cartels and that kind of thing, and then when I won't give too much away, but when he swallows the bugs, it becomes kind of this Cronenberg-esque body horror movie. And I quite liked it. It made me uncomfy. It does that thing that we were talking about with like how horror movies nowadays like to like be like, oh, it's about trauma. This is definitely one of those movies, but I appreciate it because it was written and directed by a gay guy. The cast is gay. It's got a really good performance by Mark Patton, who I'm glad is back and doing films. And Jenna Malone is really cool too. So, yeah, Swallowed. It's. Oh, and spoiler alert. Just don't go in expecting one of these nice ones that you were talking about earlier, where everything is, not 100% okay, but like.
So it doesn't end happily, huh?
I'm not gonna say it ends.
The Poisonous Bug movie doesn't end happily.
It ends partially okay for some, and ends pretty terribly for others. That's all I will say.
May you get the poisonous bug experience that you deserve.
Yeah. Anyway, Swallowed. The poster's really cool too. It's the Twinkie guy who he's swallowing the bugs, but his neck is like sticking out, like he's got something gross down there. Not a penis. Yeah.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, I bet I know why you haven't seen it yet.
You don't say.
Yeah, I couldn't read the whole plot for that anyway because I would be giving away a lot, and I don't want to because there's stuff. It's best to be watched and not told about. So, yeah. Anyway.
Interesting.
Swallowed.
Yeah.
What's yours? Sorry, I didn't ask. What? Do you have a clever transition that is not?
I do not.
Oh, what is your second movie? Speaking of
so my moving on. My next movie is The Watermelon Woman, directed by Philadelphia's own Cheryl Dunye, and it is. I saw this movie in college, and I just recently revisited it. It is kind of from that era in the 90s, a lot of Sundance independent movies. Like, I'm thinking Clerks, for example. A lot of... It's like a slice of life, not a horror slice of life.
No. It's a slice of life that Stewart doesn't like the...
not the horrific slice of life. But it's about a couple clerks at a video store who are lesbians. Cheryl Dunye herself is the writer, director, editor, and star of this movie. It is super low budget. But her character, in addition to going through the normal travails of being a lesbian in Philadelphia in 1994, is fascinated by a black character actress who she watches in one of the movies at the video store, and she wants to learn more about her. So it is simultaneously, a kind of like personal travails, but also not quite a mystery. Mystery would be too hard. I don't want to. It's not a mystery, but it's her kind of tracking down the history of this black actress, who is kind of cut in the mold of like Butterfly McQueen.
Okay.
You know, folks who had their careers cut short, who were never able to really fully blossom. And so she's examining both, you know, the black experience and the lesbian experience simultaneously. I know my description of this movie sounds very academic. It's a lot of fun. Like, it's a comedy with elements of romance tossed in the mix. And another interesting kind of like bit of trivia about this movie. So Cheryl got a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts. And because of the themes of the film, you know, it's about lesbians. She had to deal with all sorts of malarkey in the conservative news media. Like the
malarkey.
Yeah, I don't know if Fox News was around at the time, but whatever the equivalent was, lots of conservatives attacked this movie for getting federal grant money. I think it was like 95, 96 this movie came out.
Oh, I think Fox News was around in 95.
Were they? I don't know.
Well, anyways.
I have no idea. So,
but that's... This... did you watch this on Criterion? Because I know you just watched it.
I did. I watched it on Criterion.
Oh, man. I want to watch
so, yeah,
it.
Watermelon Woman is on the Criterion channel. Check it out.
Is it going to be one possibly that you might try to screen? Or
maybe. We'll see.
It sounds... It's a comedy?
Mm-hmm.
I want to check this out.
Yeah.
It sounds like... well, you mentioned the mystery part of it, but it also sounds like it has a good bit of nostalgia to it as well.
Yeah. And the movie was so low budget that Cheryl Dunye didn't have like the money to license clips from the real movies that she wanted to depict in her movie.
Did she actually want to use Butterfly McQueen?
No. She recreated. She created versions of these movies that she talks about in her movie.
Oh.
Like, so fictional versions
she makes
of
fiction.
Hollywood movies featuring a lot of black maids and such.
Okay. So, like, that's interesting because she couldn't...
she couldn't afford to, like, license Gone with the Wind, for example.
Yeah.
So she just created them.
And did she make a fictitious actress then, I suppose?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. It's a fictionalized version of the kind of actress that was in a lot of classic Hollywood movies.
Like Butterfly McQueen. Hattie McDaniel?
Yeah. Like cool. Louise Beavers.
Sorry.
What?
Beavers.
No, there's a real black character actress named Louise Beavers.
That's the coolest name. That's so cool. I love beavers. Wait.
Do you?
I do.
Do you really?
Yeah, they're really cute. They've got the little teeth. Oh. No, wait. Was this a stage name? Was she a lesbian?
I actually don't know if Louise Beavers was a stage name. That's something we can research after the podcast.
It sounds like a drag name.
You know what? I would not be surprised if there was a drag performer with a name that riffed on that actress's name.
Yeah, no disrespect, but...
I mean, we've already disrespected her just a little.
No! I think it's a cool last name because I think beavers are neat. And you think that's funny.
Anyway, Cheryl Dunye, the Watermelon Woman, is a fun and funny and poignant movie about what it's like to be a black woman and also what it's like to be a queer person.
A lesbian.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I want to check it out. Is it still on Criterion?
I think Criterion has it licensed like semi-permanently.
Oh.
They issued a Blu-ray of it just recently.
Oh, did they now?
They did. But, yeah.
Cool.
So what's your next movie?
I'm not good at this transition thing, except for if I'm talking about porn. But you seem very unamused by that. I don't know. I'll use the transition. Speaking of finding comfort in nostalgia.
Speaking of beavers.
Speaking of beavers. No. It's odd. I thought, like, I like a lot of old movies, so it's interesting that a couple of my big movies are ones that came out recently. But my third movie is from 2024. And I've already talked about it on this podcast, so I don't want to talk about it again to death. But it is by Jane Schoenbrunn, and it is I Saw the TV Glow. Every time I rewatch that movie, I love it even more. It had the same kind of effect that Beau is Afraid had on me. So the first time I saw it, it was very, ugh. And then I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And then I was like, I really need to see this movie again. And then I saw it again. And I was like, oh, I really like this movie. And then I was like, I need to see it again. And I saw it again. And I was like, this is a really, 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 really good film.
Yeah.
It is. So we've talked about it on here before, but it starts...
Yeah, because it was one of our favorite movies. Both of us.
So I don't really want to
It was in my top 5.
It was in my top
year.
5, too. I think it might have been... It was my second one.
I think it was number 3 for me, if I remember correctly.
But starring Justice Smith and Jack Haven in the two leads, it is pretty much, to me, one of the most powerful allegories. Not just for being trans, because it's a whole allegory. The film is a whole allegory for dealing with gender identity, but just any kind of queerness, and the idea of you find comfort in these things with other people that you find in media. Like they have so there's a TV show called The Pink Opaque that this character played by Justice Smith kind of bonds over with this other character who both of them, you get the sense, are some kind of queer, but are both living in kind of rough families, and make a connection through this television show, to the point that when things really start to get yucky when it comes to, them finding themselves and accepting who they are, they start to interpolate their childhood TV show into their real life, and it almost becomes a little horrific, I think. And it's just interesting. It's an interesting movie. And I relate to it a lot, not because I am trans, but I am a queer person. And like the show that they watch is like this. It's really like a riff on like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? I would say it's a Monster of the Week show. So it's like, Power Rangers, or like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something like that. So there's this sense of nostalgia for queers who grew up in the 90s and had those kind of shows that were about acceptance and fighting the bad guys and, reclaiming friendship and all that jazz, while also going through something pretty troubling. And unfortunately, like the other two movies I mentioned on here, it gets really heavy toward the end of it. Almost to the point where I would call it an existential horror film. We had a discussion about that too, because I think we talked about whether or not... Did you ultimately end up saying you thought it was a horror film?
I think it's a horror film.
I think it's a horror film too. It's not the kind of horror film that you would expect to go when you go in to see it, but it is. It's really, and the performance, particularly Justice Smith, is really just...
I think the two co-leads are both fantastic.
Jack Haven's does really well, but just particularly that, I won't spoil it, but just the last act of the movie with Justice Smith is really it's really some good acting, but also tough to sit through. So another one to just brace yourself for. But if you if you were queer and you grew up in the 90s and you've used fantasy to escape from anything, I feel like I saw the TV Glow will really touch your soul. And again, I don't know, you might have different opinion on this, but I think it's possibly one of the best trans allegories that have ever been put on screen that I've seen. I think it's accessible and also puts you in your feelings. So, yeah. How's about you?
So, God's Own Country is about a Yorkshire sheep farmer, played by Josh O'Connor, who has a habit of playing gay in movies, despite, by all indications, he's a straight man. But I'll accept
see
it.
About that.
I'll accept it. So this Yorkshire sheep farmer falls in love with a migrant, a Romanian migrant worker on his farm, played by the Romanian actor Alec Securanu. And it is interesting in that, like, it has the setup that you expect some dire things to happen, because we've seen this playbook many times. In fact, Josh O'Connor played one half of a tragic love story just recently in the movie The History of Sound. That was a gay romance where he, spoiler alert, he dies.
Oh, man. Well, now I'm glad you watched it without me. I wasn't when it happened, but now I am.
But, God's Own Country, it's got a lot of heavy stuff in it, and it's dealing with some, their political undercurrents, given that it's about a migrant farm worker.
And sheep.
Yes, the politics of sheep. But it actually it's a really sweet love story, and despite some of the tough stuff along the way, it surprised me, and I'm not going to say it's happy. Be forewarned, there's some tough stuff in there, but it is happy-ish. It ends okay. So
just okay.
God's Own Country. No, it's a great movie.
When did it come out?
Like 4 or 5 years ago, like 2017. Well, actually, no, that was almost a decade ago now. I think it's like a decade old.
No,
but it was one of
a couple days ago.
It was one of the first movies I saw with Josh O'Connor, and I believe it was the first one where he played a gay. And he's done, in addition to History of Sound, he was arguably bisexual in Challengers, or some kind of...
Arguably.
Well, not really arguably.
I was going to say, those boys, Mac.
Yeah.
Like, in front of a live studio.
And he'll be playing gay again in Luca Guadagnino's next movie, which is called Separate Rooms.
When's that coming out? I want to see it.
I think it's coming out next year.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming out this year.
I want to see him play a gay in a Luca Guadagnino movie.
But yeah, Josh O'Connor, he's really good in God's Own Country. He's really good in Challenger. He's very good in most of the things he's in.
Do you own God's own country? God's own country. You're back in the old country. No, sorry.
I do not own God's Own Country, but it's on a lot of streaming services.
This is 2 for 2 now that I want to watch.
Was recently on Criterion Channel. I don't know if it still is.
What?
What?
Well, we'll have to watch The Watermelon Woman and God's Own Country.
So what's your next movie?
My next movie is not happy.
So I'm bringing the cheerfulness, or at least the semi-cheerfulness.
I suppose.
And you're bringing the unhappy.
The unhappy. Well, I can say, spoiler alert to anybody. I haven't even said the movie yet, so I won't give the spoiler alert yet. So the next one on my list is a movie from 1992, and it is known as one of the foundational films of new queer cinema, a movement that started in the 90s, and it is called The Living End. And it
Oh,
is
gosh.
by Greg Araki,
Yeah.
who I just adore because... So I like Greg Araki for the same reason I like John Waters, because he is like, just let us be horrible. And he's angry. He's not horrible. He's just he doesn't care. He literally gives no fucks. And The Living End is like the ultimate example of this. It's two men who are living with HIV who are basically discarded by the world. So they basically say, "Fuck the world. We're gonna go on a crime spree because the world doesn't like us, so we're just gonna not like the world." It's basically a gay Thelma and Louise with a lot of more. Well, Thelma and Louise is already kind of gay. I mean, Thelma and Louise with gay men,
more overt and about gay men.
And about gay men. And gay men.
And it has some really like nasty stuff in it.
Oh, but I love it. And
I don't love that movie.
Yeah, I know. Well, and the ending's a little rough, but I love it because it is Greg Araki's response to the negligence of the AIDS epidemic, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he put these two characters that have HIV as the leads, and they are being terrible because he's like, fuck it. There was so many... Another thing I find so interesting around this time, this is not really a factoid, just an interesting thing. Around this time, you have so many movies about AIDS where the queers have to be saintly or sad or respectable or die.
They have to be saintly, but also die at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like Philadelphia is a really good example.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no, he's such a perfect... And he's like, no.
No, Greg Araki gives no fucks.
He's like, I'm just... it's gays behaving bad. He is the embodiment of be gay, do crime, and that is why that's why I love him, and I love.
I do feel like if you see The Living End, which I have seen.
Content warning. Is that what
content warning? Major content warning. It's got lots of SA in it.
Yeah,
and
SA. It's got violence. There's gun violence.
I mean, our people have seen lots of gun violence.
Well,
so
yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty nasty film. I personally don't like it. Personally, however, I do see the value in, I think as any group that is marginalized, any group that has not been well represented in media, you start with wanting to have any kind of representation. And oftentimes that means you're settling for stereotypes. You're settling for maids, or you're settling for like a coded villain.
Or
you'll take any representation you can get. Yeah, the sassy best friend. The first thing is representation. You want to see yourself on screen. And then the next step, at least in terms of Hollywood, tends to be, oh, well, they make saints out of everyone. And not just that, but everyone's Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, there were so many movies in the 80s and 90s where it featured queer characters, but they were perfect people who died at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think the next step beyond that is we need to have representation where we're actually human beings.
Yes.
And we are seeing quite a lot of those movies now. And part of that is we need to be able to be villains.
I don't even call them villains. It's like a warts and all kind of thing.
You need to have both the quote-unquote good moral characters, upstanding citizens, but you also need to have complex, complicated characters who do terrible things and also just happen to be queer.
Yeah, and this is the last I will say about it in defense of it, but there are so many movies with problematic straight people where you're supposed to root for them, despite the fact that they're terrible. And that's like the casual moviegoer. The moviegoer goes and is like watching it and really like taking it in will understand that it's like, okay, this is just a complicated person because we are all complicated. But like, what was that Fakakta one that we watched the other night? It was actually good. I don't know. It was something, and then the hero killed somebody at the end, and I was like, that's it? They kill him? That's the ending? That's the moral right thing that this movie is trying to tell us to do? I can't even remember what movie it was. But I digressed. It was like a straight macho man in the lead. Straight macho men get to do that. They get to have these movies where they are, oh, I'm just badass. I'm just an asshole. That's who I am. I can do horrible things because, I'm bad. And I do appreciate that he was like, all right, let's see how comfy y'all feel when this is gay. When it's gays doing this. And I love John Waters did the same thing. He has a movie called called Female Trouble that's very similar. Less serious, because I will say that Living End is not tongue-in-cheek. I mean, it is, sort of, but it's gritty and it's icky. Female Trouble at least has a camp element, so you can kind of remove yourself from it. But yeah, I appreciate him because he's an angry little gay that says be gay and do crimes. So Living End, Greg Araki, fun little movie. Can get stoned and watch it with your best friend and cry.
Did you cry over Living End?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, Matt. I'm telling this story. Matt and I watched it, and he had seen it before I hadn't, and it was very emotional.
Yeah.
So yeah. What's your next one?
Carol.
Where?
Not Carol Krumicki, but Carol.
She hasn't been on this show yet.
Well, we'll have to change that. Have you seen Carol? The movie?
I was going to say, of course I've seen Carol. No, I have not seen Carol.
Oh my goodness.
What?
I need to get you educated. You've been watching too many Greg Araki movies.
Well.
You need to watch some more Todd Haynes.
Who's Todd Haynes?
Oh, Todd Haynes is an art house film director whose actual one of his first movies was a feature-length treatment of the Karen Carpenter story, but with Barbie dolls.
Yes! Oh my God!
And
he
used Barbie dolls to depict the life story of Karen Carpenter, and I've never seen the whole thing, but I've seen pieces of it because it's. It's a bootleg movie, basically.
I feel like we talked about this in the last queer episode.
Did we?
Maybe. I've also talked to Brittany and Jim about this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. Yeah. It in and of itself is not really a queer movie, but it's queer adjacent. It's about one of the many gay icons who has a really tragic story. With Barbies.
Yeah, that's not gay at all.
So yeah. Anyway, Todd Haynes. Who directed that movie, which has disappeared because he didn't have the rights to the music, and the Karen Carpenter estate really did not like what he did with her story. He did not have life rights, and so that movie has been kind of buried. I hope that it gets unburied, but we got in a bit afield. Karen Carpenter's story, interesting movie. I'd like to see the whole thing. I'd like to see it get a full restoration and get released. But Carol is an adaptation of a Patricia Highsmith novel.
Oh, nice.
The Price of Salt, which is one of the first overtly lesbian novels. It was released in 1952. Not one of the first overtly lesbian novels, but the first mainstream treatments in America, I'll say.
That makes sense. Patricia Highsmith.
And Cate Blanchett plays an upper crust Connecticut housewife who is in the process of getting divorced from her husband. And while she's shopping in Manhattan, she stumbles across a girl who's working at a Bloomingdale's department store counter, played by Rooney Mara. And the two of them have this torrid affair, and it's complicated because it's in the 1950s, and everything in society is working against her. Cate Blanchett's character is worried about losing her kids because she's in the middle of a divorce, and worried that if a judge finds out about lesbianism, she'll lose custody of her kids entirely. It's got some heavy stuff in it, but, spoiler alert, it is not all heavy. And it really is like, it gives you a full arc. It gives you it's a beautifully written, beautifully produced, beautifully acted, lots of luscious period production design, cinematography. Just a great movie all the way around.
I want to see it.
Well,
do you own Carol?
I do not own Carol.
She's her own woman. No.
Nobody owns Carol Kromicki.
Well, I wasn't talking about
our frequent collaborator.
I wasn't talking about Carol Kromicki.
All right, what's your next movie?
Oh, I just hit my mic. It's Steven Universe, the movie. I've decided to I decided to save this one for last because it's not bleak. It is the opposite of bleak. It is basically just the TV show, which is, if you're not familiar with the TV show, it's very queer. They're rocks from space, which means
space rocks.
Space rocks, and all of them are female identifying, but they don't really have a gender either, so they're kind of queer. One of them is two lesbians in an overcoat, and I'm not going to explain that. You can just watch it. But the TV show is a warm bath. It's very, very sweet. It's a really good representation for just for kids who are wanting some wholesome queer content. And then Rebecca Sugar created the film to kind of go along with the TV show. She has the main character, Stephen, and he is being raised by his three surrogate aunts, I guess you would call them, because his mother passed away sacrificing herself for him and the earth, something like that. But there's like some queer relationships in there. There's a character, very, very lesbian character, played by Estelle, who I love, who did some
who
of the
we recently saw in concert.
Yeah. And the film is directed by a woman, Rebecca Sugar, who I have referred to.
I think Rebecca Sugar is a they, them.
Rebecca Sugar is a she, they.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Just want to be correct.
Yes. She goes by either she or they, so I can alternate.
Okay.
They basically was the showrunner for Steven Universe, and then conceived this film, wrote all the music for it alongside Estelle and Chance the Rapper and Amy Mann and a whole bunch of other people. And it basically takes a plot of what one of the episodes of Steven Universe might be, which is where you have a big villain who is trying to destroy the Earth, and you basically find out that you know, the villain is just kind of dealing with some other weird cosmic shit that's been happening, and it's just a sweet little movie, and it feels good to watch, and the show is very good, but it also deals with, you know, identity. Steven, one of the things that he does is fuses with his best friend Connie when they're in a battle, and or when they're dancing and they become Stevani, which is like this genderless character. The gems can all mesh into a giant woman, and sometimes Steven gets in that, and then there's like a guy. So it's just that gender means nothing, and everything is made up, and the points don't matter, and it's just wonderful because it's colorful and musical and sweet.
My next movie is Paris is Burning. So for folks who are not initiated, the ballroom scene of New York City in the 1980s was kind of this interesting hodgepodge of performance art and drag, and a safe place for any kind of queer person to exist. A lot of Latino and Black performers came to these underground clubs and held competitions, drag competitions. And if you look at this documentary, which was directed by Jenny Livingston in 1990, it features a lot of the like cultural signifiers that are now part of just part of our world as in LGBTQ culture today. So terms like spilling tea and throwing shade and reading work, serving face, all that stuff is distilled into this documentary, which really is a beautiful moment in time of a place and a community that does still exist today, but in a very different form. And the documentary is before it all became corporatized. Now we have drag shows everywhere, and it's been in some ways co-opted by corporations, and it shows up on Bravo and whatever. But like this is the roots of a lot of that culture is here in this documentary. And there is some tough stuff in the documentary too, and there's some tough stuff that isn't in the documentary as well. A lot of the folks who were highlighted in this documentary, they didn't make any money off of it, and they kept struggling, after the cameras were turned off. So there's a somewhat complicated legacy behind Paris is Burning, but even in and of itself, it is a joyful moment in time that was captured here, and one of my favorite scenes is they have a competition, and all the competitions, the drag competitions, have like a theme to them. Well, one of them is executive realness, and in this one, the drag performers, drag kings and queens, are dressed up in the costume of corporate America, circa 1988.
Greed is good.
Yes, exactly. And so what it's telling you is everything is drag. All gender expression, is a performance. Going to an office in 1988 in the corporate environment is just as much drag as going to a drag show is. And I kind of love that the movie works on multiple levels and has a lot of interesting things to say.
Why don't you talk about a little bit about that thing you're doing?
Well, yeah, and we have things that are coming up. So this is our chance to get up on our soapbox and talk about some of the things that are happening soon. So our friends over at Midtown Cinema, I've been working with them on planning several screenings where all the proceeds will go to the LGBT Center of Central Pennsylvania. Yeah. And we have dates! We have dates for these screenings.
I'm late.
First thing up is on June 8th at 7:30 p.m. We're going to have a local queer filmmaker showcase with Q&A. All these films directed by folks with local connections to Central Pennsylvania.
June 8th?
June 28th.
Oh, it sounded like you said June 8th. I'm sorry.
June 28th.
Okay.
At 7:30 p.m. at Midtown Cinema in Harrisburg. Local queer filmmaker showcase.
Woohoo!
And then July 26th, I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. July 26th at 7:30 p.m. we'll be screening Barry Jenkins' Oscar-winning Moonlight.
Hooray!
Yeah, and then we will have one in August, but we haven't fully nailed down what movie that's going to be. Also, of course, it's funny that we haven't mentioned it at all on this podcast yet, but River City Stories.
What's that?
Round 3 is going to be at Midtown Cinema as part of the Harrisburg Fringe Festival, Thursday, July 16th at 9:20 p.m., Friday, July 17th at 6 p.m., Saturday, July 18th at 4 p.m. And Josh, you also have something at Midtown Cinema as part of Fringe. You do?
What is it?
You tell me.
Well, this is the first time hearing about it. Just kidding. No. I have a little short festival of my own called Fears for Queers. And it's also going to be at Midtown Cinema as part of the Fringe Festival. So when you get your button, you want to make sure you get that, and you can get tickets. It's going to be 4, maybe 5 short films that I have made with a little sneak peek on something that I'm trying to animate. Trying being the operative word in that sentence, but there'll be something to preview. But you'll get to see Hacktress and Build-A-Bud and The Final Session and the director's cut of Breeders, which is the movie that Wallace and I made together. And that's going to be on Thursday, July 16th at 7:40, Friday, July 17th at 8:50, and Saturday, July 18th at 5:40. So some pretty late night frights. They're all horror adjacent, I guess, which is why it's called Fears for Queers. It's all horror movies that have some kind of queer theme to them. So
Heck yeah.
heck yeah.
Well,
Oh, and Boys in the Band.
yes.
The 12th or the 13th. There's the only 2 that's left. So you come be emotionally traumatized with all of us. It's very cathartic, I promise. But bring
Maybe bring one of those little plastic baggies of tissues with you.
Yeah.
But also, it's quite funny.
It's funny, and that's how they get you.
It's how they get you.
No, you guys can say you have your quote that you have to say. I'm waiting for it. It's like routine. It's.
Thank you for joining us on Cinema Double Shot Podcast. Have a good night, and most importantly, be kind to each other.
I said it first.
All right. Cat.